give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
After a long, hot summer, are you ready for fall? What about your home? Is your heating system ready for cooler temperatures ahead? Call Bryant for your fall heating check. No matter what brand of equipment you own, Bryant's trained technicians will thoroughly clean and inspect your furnace or heat pump to make sure you stay warm, safe, and comfortable. Call today to schedule your home heating check. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is time for some nuclear heat here on 93.7 The Ticket. Time to talk some wrestling from the week. It was a busy week in wrestling. Last week I came on, I was all excited about the week. I think the WWE storytelling had been great. This week, I'm going to be honest, not as happy, though they did have a big show. Saturday night's main event from Salt Lake City. Maybe it's because I felt like I was watching a commercial for Cincinnati and Utah for most of SmackDown in Saturday night's main event, which was weird. But we can get into that. I'm Jake Bockoven. He is Augie Pena, and we are Nuclear Heat. Augie, how's it going? How was your Saturday night main event viewing?
It was pretty good. Watched it this morning because obviously was at the blackout last night. So got to experience that. But it was good. It felt a little weird. Just off of the fact there was only 4 matches. Like you said, it kind of just felt like a glorified It was good, but like a main event almost, like one of those showings. It felt pretty short, right?
Yeah.
On there. And so, I didn't like see all the commercials and everything because, watching it next day, you get to skip through that. But, it was pretty fun. But man, they went with some pretty bold choices on, one of them I kind of suspected, but, the Tiffany Jade, I kind of didn't expect that one on there. But yeah, 2 title changes out of the 4 matches. That's pretty special. You don't see that happen a lot. So, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, they're definitely heading in a different direction with their couple major titles. So in that way, it's interesting. Again, we'll talk about SmackDown and Raw from this previous week. A lot of the segments were kind of setting up what happened at Saturday night's main event. So we'll start with Saturday night's main event and round back to maybe the segments that didn't so much circulate that. But we started off. Post Malone was there. That's always good in Utah. So that's exciting. But we start off with the opener, WWE's championship match between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Throughout the week, they had kind of been setting it up. They had promos on throughout the week. McIntyre got the best of Cody there through a table, I believe, there on Friday night. And so usually, if you're winning Friday night in the pay-per-views the weekend, you might not come out of it winning there, but they at least put some doubt in our minds. The only problem here, I think, a little bit is that it was an opener. There's no way Cody Rhodes is going to lose in the opener. There was very little chance Drew McIntyre was ever going to win this thing to begin with, but they are at least trying to make a story out of it. And the story was, would Cody Rhodes cheat to try to beat Drew McIntyre? McIntyre went as far this week to make it so that if Cody did cheat or attempt to cheat, he would be disqualified. He would lose his title. So no champion's advantage for this thing, which is weird. Again, the feud, this is the 3rd time they fought for the championship, I think, in the last couple of months. So they're trying to find a different way to make it look a little bit different. And so this feud has kind of been circulated around Cody so frustrated with Drew McIntyre that he's willing to go to heelish tactics to get the win. And so he had to avoid that in this match. McIntyre eventually did bring the championship belt into the ring, tried to get Cody to utilize it, was unable to do so until the ref was wiped out. And then Cody said, you know what? I might as well take advantage of this. He hits the crossroads with Drew McIntyre's face right into the belt. and 1, 2, 3, Cody wins. This was not the cleanest match. There was a ref bump, I suppose, that kind of got in the way. Cody had to act injured, got up, did the move again in the Cody cutter. But so I mean, that was in a matchup with these two, maybe not their best, but I thought the storytelling again for this feud altogether was enough to run it back, but never enough to make you think Drew McIntyre would legitimately win it.
Yeah, pretty much that. Entertaining. These two are great. They work together a lot, as we talk about, so you kind of see it there. But yeah, once it was kind of the opener, which is surprising because normally Cody Rhodes, is always last on, even with the World Heavyweight Championship kind of vacant and things like that. So yeah, kind of the story, the writing on the wall there. So you're just hoping maybe that this feud is done, and they'll go on to something, but. The takeaway from this though is you're really hoping that Cody does go into that heel turn, because I think this stale, super great guy thing, I think that's just, it's getting stale, right? On there, or super good guy. I don't know what I said before that, but it's getting very stale. And I think he's kind of ran through a lot of the guys he can kind of go through, being a baby face there. So, that's kind of what I'm hoping he kind of goes down that route, but at the same time, we saw how bad they botched the John Cena heel turn. So, if they did that with Cody Rhodes, that'd be pretty bad.
Yeah, that could go in a bad direction. Again, with Cody, they've been selling merchandise. He's been their top guy. I don't know if they will quite do that, but when they do, it will be huge.
Yeah.
So still looking forward to when they do that. Again, the opposite to that is Drew McIntyre. In my mind, you could have an argument about whose character is a little bit more stale, because Drew's been doing the same thing, right? Being cheated out of championship opportunities. And the crowd's okay with it because he's a heel, so they make fun of him for that. But yeah, I'm interested to see if he goes anywhere outside of this. At some point, enough is enough with your championship opportunities around the corner. He's always can argue his way into being into the championship contention, but at some point, again, you got to build him up to get a good run in him. That's why this never really felt like he really had much of an opportunity. Remember, this is kind of going back to when he kicked Cody through the table.
Yeah.
The announcer's desk. Even that night, that's when he returned. Well, I suppose he returned with is it Jelly Bean? What's the big guy's name?
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul and Jelly Roll.
Yeah. Jelly Bean.
I couldn't think of his name.
For some reason, I thought Jelly Bean was his name. I was like, yes, that's it. But no, yeah, you're right. It's Jelly Roll.
But again, I didn't really necessarily they didn't do anything with him. It's the same character. And he just kind of needs to be freshened up a little bit. Remember before I wouldn't say before he was doing this, as part of this at one point in time, though, he was kind of hunting down the bloodline and different members there. And that felt kind of exciting. So maybe they could get back to that. But for both these guys, I wouldn't expect a change, but I think both of them maybe could use at least a little bit of a refresh on the character.
Well, see, you say that, but as CM Punk on the Raw side of it, they kind of got something, some history there that I think could be a little fun if if you're kind of, spoiler alert, getting ahead to that.
Yeah.
That's something maybe Drew McIntyre, I hate to say it, but I feel like 99.9% of the people on SmackDown probably need to move over to Raw, because what they're doing on SmackDown is just not working. SmackDown just doesn't have the talent. I know Cody Rhodes is there. Drew McIntyre's there. Outside of that, Sami Zayn has moved there, but he, isn't really doing much. Outside of that, who's your star power? Randy Orton, but, he's kind of on the sidelines. We're kind of waiting for that Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes feud, which they're probably going to save until WrestleMania. So you don't know who else the filler is, but Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre was gloating. CM Punk cost him, that championship when he won it at WrestleMania that Damian Priest cashed in on. And, now with CM Punk being a title holder there, that could be something fun you could see happen there. I would be interested in that. Like I said, move him over to Raw, kind of see what happens there. If that storyline doesn't, pay off, then maybe you got to. But I think you got to run that storyline one last time.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Definitely could see that. I think they battled 8 or 9 times in the last feud, but it was interesting. At certain times, I felt like it kind of got tiresome. Other times, they were able to make it entertaining. Like you said, even a break between that would go back to one of the better feuds that they've had over the last several years. So we'll see. A lot of opportunity for both these men. Again, both great workers, both two of the top of the company, in a lot of different ways to go. You just kind of hope it's not the same roads that they've been going. So we'll see. And Cody, like you said, I mean, he just needs a contender that's believable. You can't do too many of these like back to back to back of like, is he going to lose it? Is it, and it just never feels like the title is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And that was the case here, especially again with the opener. Let's move into the WWE Women's Championship match between Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. I do like Tiffany Stratton has added a swanton to her arsenal of moves, and that's been really entertaining. She had that here. She was selling a knee injury throughout the match, even had it wrapped going into it that Jade Cargill caused her. So that was a big part of this match. Cargill really just overpowered her. And she, Cargill obviously with her new heel character, I think that it's been kind of fresh for her, a good look. I mean, she's done well as far as just kind of matching that. There's different like characters and people that I don't get so much of who she's dressing up as, Punisher and that sort of thing. But I just think her outfit has looked really good as a heel, I should say. But to my surprise, I did not expect to see this. You said earlier you did not expect to see it either. Cargill just overpowered Tiffany. A few power bombs were hit. And you're thinking, man, this is getting overwhelming. Then she does ultimately hits Jaded and gets the win. So Tiffany Stratton, undefeated up to this point, of the year, I should say, up until the last month. Now she's not only lost that, but now her WWE Women's Championship. Lots to break down. What's your initial thoughts from this?
Yeah, and I also got to put in the fact that her and Kaiser officially said they're broken up too. So she, she also lost that. So it's just been a pretty bad week for Tiffany there. But I was very surprised. I think mainly, yes, we've talked about it. Jade Cargill has the look, right? She fits. I mean, she has a child, I think, and she has a six pack. Like she is probably around our height, just built. Just has everything, but she's still not the top tier in the ring, and that's I think where the concern comes out. So that's why I didn't, Tiffany Stratton, for all her faults in that, I think she's pretty good in the ring. So that's kind of where I was a little surprised. I just don't think Jade Cargill is ready to be your, one of the top women champion. So we'll have to see on there. And as for this match, there's got to be something with Tiffany, right? They got to be probably writing her off of TV for a little bit for some reason. Because like you said, she kind of got just dominated. You don't see that unless, they're going to come back they're going to run it back for, 3 months or something like that. Or they're just going to, like I said, write her off TV and maybe hopefully she comes back on Raw, which is something I've wanted for a while, on there. But yeah, I mean, just really surprised. And I'm curious because we talked about kind of the lack of star power, on SmackDown for the men's side. It's the same for the women, and now Jade Cargill, somebody who's not great in the ring, is your top champion. We're kind of gonna have to see what they decide to do with that.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming obviously different types of wrestlers, like you said. Cargill just kind of a powerhouse. We've talked about a little bit green in the ring, great character. I mean, hard to argue anything as far as her physique goes, but she's just a little bit green at times, and I guess you can do the power angle. Maybe we'll see. WWE wants kind of the land of big men.
Yeah.
Could be the similar type of situation here. Maybe you line her up with some of the bigger women in WWE and put her over that way. But I'm just kind of interested. I like the heel turn. I like her character right now. So I don't necessarily have a problem with her winning gold, because that was the whole idea when they brought her over from AEW to begin with. At some point, she could be the face of the company. I just don't know if it feels like she got to that level. Now it feels like they're kind of pushing it. And I don't completely mind it, but it's just a quick turnaround. I'll say the same thing about CM Punk later. Like all the momentum, the CM Punk chance for 10 years when he's gone, you only have one way to write the title, right? Yeah. It has to be a big time special moment, really engage the fans, really, maybe make it 3 straight premium live events. You don't want to do it too much. You're going to fall into LA Knight status, but make it very difficult to get there. And then eventually when you do, it's a big time story. For Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton, this just kind of happened in the last 2 weeks. Now they've got a lot longer relation, they've been feuding a lot longer before that. So if you put all that in there, but this all came from Jade Cargill seemingly for no reason. I mean, she's
Yeah.
never been friends with Tiffany. They were feuding the last time we saw them, coming out and helping Tiffany Stratton for some reason, and then turning on her, which was just like it just happened out. Again, it was not surprising. It was not a shocking turn because they were already not getting along.
Yeah.
The surprise was, are they going to be friends? Are they going to do a quick friend angle? And so that it just turned around so quickly. And then you just go here. And then the other thing is, like you said, unless Stratton's injured or something, talk about losing all your mojo. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is again the problem I have with putting champion versus champion. We've talked about it for years with Survivor Series. Now they do it here, and it doesn't have to be debilitating, but sometimes they make it debilitating.
Yeah.
Once she lost her undefeated streak and they decided to get that to La Primera, apparently then the golden is the magic's gone. Now she's not undefeated. All right, now let's see what else we can get with her. And that's where I'm interested with her too, is her character. Is she going to be over? She's going to be interesting without a belt. Now, I'm assuming she's going to, like you said, perhaps go back after this, maybe miss some TV time and come back. But, I mean, I'll also can't deny, while I love Tiffany Stratton and especially this thing she's able to do in the ring, felt like she's lost a little bit of the crowd reaction as time has gone on with her championship belt.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a big part of that is, she just had kind of a stale championship run. She's been champ since WrestleMania, which, believe it or not, was over 200 days ago on there. But I mean, you look at her challengers, it's been Nia Jax, Naomi, right? Bailey, Jade Cargill. I think that's kind of it, and while those names don't sound bad, I mean, just watching the SmackDown product, it hasn't been great on there. And so, that's kind of where it is. And, she went from being, a bad, heel to kind of a baby face to heel. She's kind of always been in between, right? I think that's just kind of her character on there. But yeah, I don't, that's why I'm saying I hope she takes a month off, 2 weeks off, and then shows up on Raw. And then her and maybe Stephanie, could have something going on. She can challenge, the Intercontinental Champion, just something like that. Have fun with it. Because as you're talking like the crown jewel thing, the champion versus champ, look at what happened to Gunther. I mean, he lost to Cody Rhodes. They went off that storyline where he didn't have his mojo. He lost all his confidence. He lost to Jey Uso, at WrestleMania, and he's, he got it back eventually. But then, he's the one that, lost to CM Punk, I believe. And I think he's injured, right? That's why he's been off TV. Yeah. But I mean, he was having really bad storylines. We were talking about, wow, this was their guy that was undefeated for a horrible number, but 666 days. This was their guy they were going with. Have him lose to Sami Zayn, bring it back up. He's able to go. But, it feels like maybe when he comes back, hopefully it'll feel better. But yeah, I mean, in a year, talk about, free fall. You just hope that doesn't happen for Tiffany Stratton, because she has kind of been carrying that women's division on SmackDown. But that's why I say, hopefully she goes to Raw, can kind of shake it up a little bit, maybe move someone over, Maxine Dupree, someone like that over to the SmackDown roster. But you need to get her over because, there's a handful of great wrestlers, on SmackDown. Time to get them over to Raw, to kind of see maybe what she can do out there.
Yeah, and then as you mentioned too, as you mentioned Naomi earlier, I did kind of think, you always wonder what the plans would have been.
Yeah.
With her championship run, you'd have obviously champion versus champion. If you don't choose to have Tiffany lose there, would she lose here? Yeah. It's just fascinating to see how all that kind of plays out and the decisions they make. To be clear, I'm very excited for a Jade Cargill championship run. But again, part of it is to see how are they going to maneuver around some of her shortcomings and highlight the fact that she's an absolute beast. Now, it could be quick matches, again, dominating type of heel, or we could see, kind of like I was saying, put her up against some of the bigger women in the business, the Raquel Rodriguez's, whatever Dewdrop goes by now. Although she's been out, I think.
Yeah, I think she might be done, right?
Yeah,
she has that bad injury.
Yeah, but so I mean, but there's other options out there. So we'll see. I'm excited for Tiffany Stratton. For Jade Cargill. I am a little bit worried that they will probably do the Tiffany. They will do the Gunther, you've lost your mojo storyline with Tiffany. So.
Well, we'll have to see on that. But also, I'm kind of worried with Jade Cargill. Like we've said, she's green. They're kind of doing that bad thing with champs where they don't defend their titles. They just kind of hold them. They show up for segments. I mean, Stephanie Vaquer, who has she defended her title against? She has, right?
So far she's just been helping out Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
Right?
So I don't think she's defended it. The Judgment Day, before I wasn't here to talk about it last week, but before they lost, they defended it once in 200 days or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE's doing that. They're just having the title holders not do anything other than show up for some promos. And I just don't think you can do that with Jade Cargill because she needs to be pushed out there. She needs to show that she can be the top woman on that division.
Yeah, exciting. Again, maybe the most exciting match of the night, in my mind, at least as far as the result, because it was a little bit unexpected. So we'll see what the heel Jade Cargill can do. All right, let's go ahead and take our first break here on Nuclear Heat. We've still got a few championship matches to talk about, including the Intercontinental Championship match between Penta, Rusev, and Dominic Mysterio. Also, CM Punk and Jey Uso. And the Last Time Is Now tournament, which was announced last night as well. So we'll get to that here in just a few minutes on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
After a long, hot summer, are you ready for fall? What about your home? Is your heating system ready for cooler temperatures ahead? Call Bryant for your fall heating check. No matter what brand of equipment you own, Bryant's trained technicians will thoroughly clean and inspect your furnace or heat pump to make sure you stay warm, safe, and comfortable. Call today to schedule your home heating check. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Imagine hitting rewind on your life 10, even 20 years. With testosterone therapy from Limitless Male, you can turn back the aging clock and get your edge, energy, and confidence back. If you've lost your drive, sleep deprived, muscle loss, belly fat, irritable, you're not the guy you once were. Get your T levels checked at Limitless Male. More and more men are realizing hormone replacement can turn back the clock. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back to talk some wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. Is Nuclear Heat PR WWE Weekend Review Show. We thank you for listening. Tell your friends who watch pro wrestling to catch up on our weekend recap here as we get ready for Monday Night Raw. Of course, we'll reset a lot of these feuds and some of these championships that changed hands. So let's continue talking about it. We got halfway through the Saturday night main event card. Let's pick up where we left off. The Intercontinental Championship match between Penta, Rusev, and Dominic Mysterio. You were talking about how some of the WWE champions are not defending their titles. Dominic Mysterio has been defending it quite often, has already defended against Penta and Rusev, and he's found some ways to get some victories as he plays a good a heel that people are starting to cheer for. Because he looks like Eddie Guerrero and the whole send off there. I mean, he is that's the joke. He's a 20-year vet, so maybe they're just finally paying due for that. In any case, as you would imagine, Rusev was dominating the beginning of this match with his strength. Even applied the accolade to Dominic at one point. Penta made the save there. Mysterio, with his cheating tactics, tried the Eddie Guerrero spot, which was funny because the match was no disqualification. The Eddie Guerrero spot that I'm talking about is he grabbed the title, he tossed it across the ring to, I think it was Rusev, might have been Penta.
Yeah, Rusev.
Then laid down as if he got hit by it when the ref turned around and looked, and then the ref's like, there's no disqualification here. So in any case, Rusev eventually caught Penta with a Machka kick, then got the accolade applied for that as well. You heard the bell ring, but you didn't see the referee call it off. We didn't see anybody tap. So this allowed Rusev just to release the accolade, started celebrating, but it was actually Mysterio over at the time by the bell, ringing the bell in the timekeeper's area. So he actually kept the bell hammer that he had to do that, attempted to use that in the ring. Penta actually got his hands on it and then attempted to hit Mysterio with the very bell hammer that he used earlier. But Mysterio moved, and then so Penta hit Rusev. So this was, Penta's all out of shape. Mysterio grabs Penta, chucks him into the corner. He falls out of the ring, and then since Rusev got hit with the hammer, he was in real bad shape, and the champion was able to hit the frog splash for the victory over Rusev and get the win. Altogether, I'm entertained by these things. I'm a Dominic Mysterio fan. Nuclear Heat is somewhat named after Dominic Mysterio because he was getting Nuclear Heat when we started this show. I was just looking for a wrestling term. I thought maybe Crimson Mask would be a little bit too much. So Nuclear Heat it was, and they've been, again, he's been the man of defending his title in titles, I should say, as he holds two of them. This is probably something you could have done, and we have somewhat seen done on Raw here in the recent weeks. Throw it into a triple threat, but still kind of a similar way. But I've just been entertained by the different ways they've found for Dominic Mysterio to cheat and win.
Yeah, I think it's been fun because we got to give him props. He's doing it by himself. The Judgment Day is not coming out to really help him. And if they are, it's like once a month, and it's like they're arguing, so it's not like they're still doing the Judgment Day break there. So he's essentially doing it himself. And you're right, that Eddie Guerrero spot was just awesome. And then Rusev realizing the chair's legal. The timekeeper belt, man, it's been great on there. I really hope, I really hope, I don't want to see him lose the Intercontinental Championship anytime soon, but I really think they're going to miss the mark if they don't have him at least go after a world title while he's still in the legitimately have, win somehow a number one contenders match and be the one-on-one champ against CM Punk or, Cody Rhodes, something like that with the Judgment Day. Because, Dominic Mysterio just has it all, right? He can act, like you said, he's a 20-year vet, in the body of a 27-year-old. So, he's got everything you want there, and the crowd's behind him. everything they can do is great there. And working with Penta and Rusev, it just shows he can really wrestle in there. They have him be the coward all the time, but he can put on a show when he needs to. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And man, talk about somebody you're excited to drop this belt and hopefully move on to a world championship belt like that. That's Dominic Mysterio for me.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they've got planned out for him. He, again, is getting the crowd reaction. The one thing that I think has missed in this feud a little bit is that he's kicked Rusev in the man parts twice.
Yep.
And Rusev, though, is kind of the angry, guy that's going after you. He doesn't seem to be more frustrated. But like his frustration isn't gaining. When they did the battle royal to find out who's going to face CM Punk here at Saturday night's main event, he didn't go after. I mean, you should, if you cheat like that to get a win, especially against a big guy who wants to come at your throat to begin with, he should be extra motivated, more frustrated. And I think it would have added to, if they would have gone that route, it would have added to this Intercontinental Championship feud altogether. But again, this was all, kind of three ways. I think Rusev and Penta are going to head into their own direction now, which can be good enough. Penta is just incredible in the ring. So much fun. I still can't believe they didn't capitalize off of his initial excitement when he's in the WWE. I think they figure maybe they can just kind of bring it back. I mean, the crowd just loves the Zero Miedo and his signs that he's doing. So we'll see. I think that was one, from the first night that Dominic Mysterio won that title, the next night he defended against Penta. And I thought that was going to be it because I thought they had seen what I saw in Penta. But I saw the same thing in Dominic Mysterio. And now they do too. So that is good to see. And I think we should maybe see something different for him coming out of this. Again, I think Penta and Rusev might not now be at each other, which can give us another fresh matchup for the Intercontinental Championship.
So I have one question here, though. Is Dominic Mysterio still the North American champ for AAA, or did he drop that belt?
He's the AAA champ, but I don't think it's the North American, because he was North American at one time, which was
that's the NXT belt, right?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Is the AAA champion?
Is he still that?
Yeah.
That whatever. Oh, okay.
I think he's gonna face Dragon Lee.
Oh,
so
okay.
They've been incorporating a lot of WWE.
So he's two belt. Dom.
Yeah, he's double.
We got to show him that respect there. But no, yeah, I 100% agree there. Penta is great. We both were on that Penta thing. The Zero Miedo. You love it. The crowd is just behind him still.
Yeah.
He's. I hate to do this because these are going to end up being my guys, but he's an LA Knight. He's just super hot. Came in, just has all the tools, everything you want. The crowd's behind him, and he's been second place, runner up, number one contender for everything. But then he's always one that gets the pin, right? So like fatal four ways, triple threats, things like that. He's always the guy taking the pin, and it just doesn't make sense. But Penta and Rusev, I think that could be fun. Rusev, I think, is just great. We talk about it. He's like an old school wrestler. Just you need to bring Lana back. We're going to say that until they bring Lana back on there. But yeah, for Dom, bigger. Like I said, I've been pitching this, but if he's John Cena's last opponent, they have a chance to do something really fun there. With that, he could be the guy that retires John Cena. So they'll have all that opportunity. I just hope they can do something fun like that for him next.
Well, they did show him when they were showing the Last Time Is Now tournament graphic, which is our next little talking point here. Was briefly announced, but was maybe the news of the day, I suppose. The Last Time Is Now tournament does not start until next week's Raw, so will not start tomorrow, but it's basically a 16-man tournament. The winner will take on John Cena in his final match. Again, no brackets were officially announced, but we saw Solo Sikoa, Dominic Mysterio, Sheamus, Gunther, even Carmelo Hayes among those pictures. Cena said that there would be stars from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and even outside the company that will participate. So it will be fun to see who that is. I was looking over there at Post Malone thinking he's going to jump in the ring at some point, but maybe it'll be Post Malone. Maybe it'll be an enemy from the past making a return. There's been talk about maybe Chris Jericho's signing might be coming along the way. So we'll see. They might have some surprises throughout this, but this is going to be a fun way to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be, I think the money, I know Chris Jericho's kind of the name out there. I know I want it to be like a Dominic Mysterio, but man, Edge, if they allow that to happen, when he's saying outside of the company, Chris Jericho's AEW contract was up, right? Is that why he's potentially
I don't know exactly when it's done, but yeah, that's kind of the idea.
Yeah. On there, I mean, that could be fun, on there and all that stuff. But I think Edge, right? Like that's kind of who everybody's hoping. But if it's not going to be one of those guys to give us one of those classics, got to give it to somebody that they think is going to carry the company for the next 10 years. I know he's a 20-year vet, but he's only 27, so he's still got another 20 years in him in there. But yeah, this is exciting. I hate that they've limited him now to just John Cena, just 2 appearances, because it could be fun, him like sitting there, watching it, kind of being there. It's to fight him, but this is where the story will develop, so that'll be fun. But I also hope when they show the bracket, they show the current roster, but then they have those surprises. Like some of them don't know who they're gonna face, and when you get to that final round, it's either Edge or Chris Jericho, and I think that could be some must-see TV right there.
Yeah, it certainly has a lot of potential to be exciting, and it's a unique way to do this. I mean, this is not how I expected John Cena's final opponent to be announced, so I can't wait to see how they do it. But that's, like I say, anytime you can put stakes on matches, especially just on random Raw and SmackDowns, it completely helps the show out. And again, that was something that was kind of missing in this past week's SmackDown, in my opinion. Let's get to the World Heavyweight Championship match. CM Punk and Jey Uso. Lots of finishers in this match, so it depends on, some people like those 5-star matches. If there's a bunch of finishers, other people get frustrated. What's the point of a finisher if we're going to land 600 of them in a match, and it never is enough? So Punk hit the GTS early. It was kind of interesting to go to sleep, and he used a water bottle that he kind of tried to wake Jey Uso up. I was trying to figure out if there was more to that. I guess he was just trying to wake him up, get him back in the ring. Uso had a couple spears in this, one through the timekeepers area where they mentioned Roman Reigns. Again, this has kind of been a story. Is he kind of turning into the Roman Reigns of old? Punk hits, they each hit each other's finishers at some point. Punk hit like 3 or 4 GTSs in this match. Eventually, I think he hit 2 in a row, and that was enough for CM Punk to beat Jey Uso, and he's your new World Heavyweight Championship match. As I alluded to earlier, not awful. Of course, this is kind of completely lets you know the timeline for Seth Rollins probably isn't anywhere close, because this throws out the whole. From WrestleMania, they've been building this idea that Seth Rollins is going to keep CM Punk away from the title. Yeah. You just throw that all in the trash now. CM Punk wins and moves on. So that's why I kind of thought maybe they'd go with Jey Uso. But I'm more upset that this week, going into the week, when Jey pushed Jimmy Uso and LA Knight out of the Battle Royal to get into this match, it's so intriguing for both Jimmy and Jey. I was like, okay, what's going to happen next? I got to watch this week of wrestling. And on Monday Night Raw, there was a brief, they did a backstage segment where it's like, okay, they might be frustrated at each other. Before the end of the night, they were getting along. It was fine. Like they made up. And then here, again, you've got so much potential from the, Braun Breaker, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso. Anything crazy to potentially happen. And so I just felt like it was a little bit underwhelming that you didn't have anything move along in the Jey Uso storyline here. And then again, for me, CM Punk is a guy that for 10 years, people were cheering his name to get him back into the WWE. He got back into wrestling to a huge return at AEW. Even, things were rocky there. We still didn't ever know if he was ever going to get back to WWE. And so when you kind of write all this back, and now he's won the championship twice, you can only do it once, right? And it could have been an all-time wrestling moment. They decided to make it so that he got cheated out of Seth Rollins. Okay, fair enough. Now I really want to see him win the next title, right? Because Seth's always going to be in his way. Now you eliminate that. Seth Rollins is out of the way, and he just kind of wins again a finisher match, finisher fest against Jey Uso, where there's no storyline developed there. I'm just very, very underwhelmed. And if I would have brought CM Punk to WWE, they've done some good things, but I think they missed on a generational opportunity to make it like pretty unforgettable for him to win his titles so far. And we'll see what he does with this run. But so far, the actual title winning, the time that he got over the top, has been underwhelming.
Yeah, I can see with that. And I think part of that too is he's been injured 2 out of the 3 WrestleManias. He's, I think, 3, right? He's been back to either 2 or something. But, and then they decided to go with that triple threat, which was fine. But, they had to include Roman Reigns in there as well. So they could have done that. You're right on that. It's cool moment. Yeah, you're right to see that. But Yeah, Jey Uso, they're trying to push his storyline to the top. You know my feelings on it. I think great entrance. It's fun. It is fun seeing him interact with the kids too. He does the rewind. CM Punk did the rewind of his entrance, so that's all fun there. But I'm with you. This match, good, right, fun. But unless it's WrestleMania, I think you shouldn't kick out, or you're like a Roman Reigns, Brock, somebody like great like that, right? You shouldn't kick out of more than 2 finishers, right? It shouldn't take more than 2 to get you there, especially those dumb super kicks. Those that's not a finisher. Sweet chin music is a finisher. These super kicks, I mean, it takes the Usos like 20 of them anyways to to win a match. So I see it on that, and good for CM Punk. He's got his title. The more confusing thing to me is the vision turned on Seth Rollins, right? All that stuff. Then you don't have Bronson Reed be the guy, or sorry, not Bronson, Braun Breaker be the guy. If CM Punk would have beat Braun Breaker for this, big difference, because he's beating the guy, Seth Rollins' guy, the guy eventually turned on him, but he's beating the Vision in a way. You don't do that, and now the Bronze, who knows what they're going to do on there. And I don't even think was Braun Breaker. He wasn't even a finalist in that tournament, right?
They kicked him out.
Yeah.
They're upset about it. Now, Braun did beat LA Knight this past week to be the number 1 contender for whoever wins this. So presumably he's going to go after CM Punk. But I agree with you. It would have been better just to keep him involved with this altogether.
Yeah, beat the Vision and all that stuff, because now it's going to be a storyline where you're not going to have CM Punk have 2 short reigns like that. You just can't. He's the guy right now. I know Cody's on SmackDown, but on Raw, it's CM Punk's world right now, and you're not going to have a short storyline. So, it could have been a one and done with them. He beats the Vision and then he kind of moves on, but now it's going to be the Vision's going to be around it still. The Bronze are still going to be all involved with this. So I agree. They dropped the ball there, and sometimes you got to pivot, but you can't rely on Jey Uso. That's something I think they're starting to find out a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I feel like his character might be. I've been saying it's one of the most interesting parts. Kind of interesting movements over the last couple of months. His character arc and character flow. But this past week really took me out of it because they brought you right up to, okay, here's the boiling point, and then they're like, never mind, we're going to go this way. Jimmy's going to be fine with them, and we'll move on. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to even if they have another thing where they're going to butt heads again. It's like, when am I gonna? How do I not know the next episode they're just gonna come out and be brothers again? You needed this thing to boil to an edge. Maybe Jimmy comes out, tries to support Jay, cost him one way or the other. Then you have your feud there. I mean, they've already feuded at WrestleMania a couple years ago. That wasn't great.
One of the worst matches ever.
So I mean, I want to say I'm interested to see what they'll do with Jey Uso next, but they almost took me out of it because they didn't capitalize when I was interested. So we'll see. They've got some work to do there. But again, we'll see CM Punk 2 against Breaker. That could be interesting. Like you said, don't expect Punk to lose right away. But again, that's a layup. I mean, that's good with Paul Heyman in there. I mean, it could be a lot of fun one way or the other. All right, let's take a quick break. We got one quick break here, and then we'll be back. We'll wrap up. We'll talk about what happened on Raw and SmackDown this past week. This is Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Summer, are you ready for fall? What about your home? Is your heating system ready for cooler temperatures ahead? Call Bryant for your fall heating check. No matter what brand of equipment you own, Bryant's trained technicians will thoroughly clean and inspect your furnace or heat pump to make sure you stay warm, safe, and comfortable. Call today to schedule your home heating check. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Powersports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Imagine hitting rewind on your life 10, even 20 years. With testosterone therapy from Limitless Male, you can turn back the aging clock and get your edge, energy, and confidence back. If you've lost your drive, sleep deprived, muscle loss, belly fat, irritable, you're not the guy you once were. Get your T levels checked at Limitless Male. More and more men are realizing hormone replacement can turn back the clock. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back. We've got a few minutes left here on Nuclear Heat to talk about this week's edition of Raw and SmackDown. Again, a lot of this, the episodes that factored into the events of Saturday night's main event we've already talked about. So we'll just do a Cliff Notes version, if you will, on some of the other matches that went in there. One was Nikki Bella losing to Roxanne Perez and Vancouver making the save. I think that's very clearly headed toward a tag team match between those the four women there.
Yeah, and I mean, the only other thing you can really talk about was Nikki Bella, looks okay for being in her 40s, on there, maybe, yeah, on that. But I thought it actually was a fun match to watch too, though. They both did good work, and you kind of forget Nikki Bella's a Hall of Famer and a, Divas champ for a reason. She kind of carried the division there for a while.
Yeah, and we'll see again, Stephanie McCoy. I mean, I'm sure at some point there's going to be Nikki Bella turning on Stephanie McCoy, but they got to establish the friendship first. So the Judgment Day makes perfect sense. And we'll kind of see what happens out of that. The Judgment Day again are in that group, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. They're like 50-50 booking for months now. So they can win or lose any match, and it doesn't necessarily surprise you, which kind of makes it interesting. Braun Breaker defeated LA Knight, like we were saying. LA Knight coming into the episode talking about how he's got to solidify his spot going after the title. And loses to Braun Breaker here. Yeah. So obviously, again, Braun Breaker looks like he's going to be lined up to take on CM Punk. That can be very exciting for LA Knight. Man, it almost highlighted the chance that he's coming up short all the time.
Yeah, so it's just the same old, man.
Stuff.
It's the same stuff for 2
years,
man. It's hard, man. It's the same old. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I don't know. They got to let him win at some point. I mean, there's nothing else to say there because he doesn't need a change in character. He's still exciting, still getting the crowd going, but always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yep.
JD McDonough defeated Sheamus, which was a little bit of help because Finn Balor took Sheamus's shillelagh and used that to his advantage, causing the distraction. So that was a bit of an upset. Good to see JD McDonough get a win. Balor and McDonough did argue on behalf of their tag team title defense. So they're going to get the opportunity to go back after AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Clearly they've made an nemesis out of Sheamus, so I expect him to cost them the match tomorrow evening.
Yeah. I think they're going to. And I wasn't here last week, but I got to say, I hate that they said, and new world tag team champs, AJ Lee. I was like, how did that happen? How did AJ Lee do that? Because some people, they were trying to do AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. It's like, you guys know there's an actual AJ Lee on your roster and you can't do that. So that was, first off, that was a little confusing. But yeah, this was fun. The shillelagh, came into effect there. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, I expect Sheamus to kind of be upset, and I expect some bro kicks, in their future here.
So that could be fun. Finn Balor and Sheamus could be something that they could get going out of this. The main event was Flair and Alexa Bliss defeating Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Valkyria was prevented Bayley from tapping out in this match. So again, on that side, kind of interested to see what version of Bayley you're going to get. For Flair and Bliss, they move on to SmackDown, which we can talk about here in a second. But the Kabuki Warriors came out and wiped both teams, so it looks like they're going to be the new nemesis for Flair and Bliss.
Yeah, it's fine. They finally defending the tag team champs. I just want to call out the announcer that said you guys are tirelessly defending it all the time. It's like, dude, they've defended it like twice in like 3 months. Like, come on, don't say that. But yeah, it was a good match. Good, like I said, good to see Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss actually doing something on TV.
Yeah, on SmackDown too, Alexa Bliss defeated Nia Jax with the distraction from Charlotte. That almost felt like a one-off. I don't know if they're going to go back into that. Maybe just something for Nia Jax to do for the week. So that was kind of interesting. Also on SmackDown, nobody was surprised that Carmelo Hayes was attacked by Miz after he defeated Kit Wilson. I know we were all looking forward to Carmelo Hayes and Kit Wilson after they promoted the previous week, but this one inevitably was going to end in Miz attacking Carmelo.
Yeah, it's the same old, man. They just got to start it now. Just have them really go at it and have Carmelo Hayes wins, Miz put him over, and just be done with it, man. Because we're seeing the same thing over and over again for it feels like months.
And SmackDown, I said this was somewhat of a mix-up between a Cincinnati-Utah commercial because it's fine college football game. It's not like the headliner of the weekend.
Yeah,
and they went to that over and over and over again. And then it was like your tag teams that they love on SmackDown. That's kind of the line of tag teams right now. They had some of them go solo and get attempt, but I mean, it was just kind of like, man, you're really preserving everything for Saturday night's main event. To that end, they had Ilya Dragunov defeat Nathan Frazier of Fraxium to defend his U.S. title. Ciampa wanted in on the action. He attacked. Was it Frazier afterwards? So he might be next up, though. Tama Tonga also had an interaction with Dragunov, so they're lining up some opponents there for Dragunov, who's been fine, I think, in the U.S. title defense, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I still think they've got to get him off the Maestro thing. He's got some. Yeah. He's fun in the ring, so we'll see what they've got going with character building there. But that's their attempt at keeping the U.S. title defense open. The only other match I think worth noting: the MFTs defeating Motor City Machine Guns. Phoenix and Nakamura came out to try to get their revenge on the MFTs too, but they didn't fare well either. So, and they're kind of starting to show. I think was it? I'm getting everybody's confused. It was Phoenix that approached Tama Tonga as well. So I think we'll see that match this week. But the MFTs kind of establishing themselves. The big question is, when Solo Sikoa gets back in the ring, does he have to have the face paint too?
I think he has to. You got to be a try. You got to be all in one. Do something like that. You got to mix it up a little bit, right? Like Solo's showing he came in as a brute force, kind of showing his comedy side. I think it'd be funny if he had the face paint and still continued kind of his comedy bit on it. I mean, can you imagine that? So I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be exciting again. I think this week left a little bit to be desired, especially not paying anything off on the Usos problems there. But with the new week is a new opportunity to rewrite some stuff, make some things interesting. And I always say it, my favorite episodes of Raw and SmackDown are immediately after the premium live events, when you get the fresh matchup, the new look at the new feuds, and what's going to kind of come out of all of that. So we'll learn about that. And we'll talk about it next week here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Tell your wrestling friends about us, and we'll see you next week.